It's time now for Countywide, a special presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. Join Paul David and Kyle Benedict as they talk with our community's leaders, newsmakers, and people in the know. You'll hear about the hot topics that affect all our lives in Yavapai County. And now here's today's Countywide.
Welcome to Countywide. I'm Paul David. As always, it is great to have you in studio with us today. Al Cornell is back, a volunteer with the Yavapai County Search and Rescue Team. Last week we talked with Craig Stevens with the Mounted Unit from YCSRT, and we kind of, at the very beginning of the show, we talked a little bit about the differences between searching for an adult and a child, and Craig was actually here to talk about the Mounted Unit, Al. So I thought we'll have you come in today, and you've been doing searches in Yavapai County for how long, for people lost?
About 20 years.
About 20 years. So you're really familiar. That's why we have you come in so often. You're like our search and rescue expert here. Searching for a child has got to be completely different than, say, if I was lost in the woods. And we talked a little bit about this with Craig, and I mentioned at the very beginning of the show that, you know, children have the stranger danger teaching, and you were just talking before the show, real big imagination. That side of the brain develops first, so imagination's really involved. And we talked about, I had heard from the Coconino County Sheriff's Office that there was a child once who was lost and didn't come out because of stranger danger. He heard people yelling his name, but would not come out of hiding. They eventually found him. And the other one, they were searching at night and they had the headlamps, and that boy thought maybe it was some kind of alien invasion and happened to know his name, so he didn't come out. So it got me thinking that, wow, you know, if I was out in the woods lost and I heard Al Cornell yelling, "Paul, Paul, Paul," I would jump right up and say, I am right here. But if I'm 5 years old, 4 years old, 3 years old, 6, maybe I wouldn't do that.
And you may not do it if you're 8 or 10 or 12, because it's not that you're necessarily now afraid of that person. You may be embarrassed. Or you may be afraid that when I am found, my parents are going to punish me for being out here and getting lost.
Oh gosh,
at that
I hadn't even
age.
thought about those.
Yeah. Or at that age, 8, 10, 12, you may be looking at a runaway. Somebody got mad at home, ran in, you know, and grabbed his bag and took a walk into the forest, and then really shouldn't have done that, and knows now he should go home, and now he's lost.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So there's quite a bit.
There's lots of different reasons for that child to be out there. I think one point to make, though, is most of those kids that are out there and are lost, it's not their fault. It's the parents' fault. If it's a child 1 to 3, you know, they don't even know where they are. They don't have the cognitive ability to know they're lost. When they're out there, they're not lost. It's their parents that are lost. My mom and dad are lost. I'm not lost. I'm just out here having a good time. So they don't know it. And then you go like from about 4 to 6, they start to realize they are lost, but they weren't put out there by themselves. Somebody took them out there camping or hiking or something, and so somebody got them in an area they're not familiar with, and now they're lost. Yeah.
So what do we do?
Well, unfortunately, we don't do the right things right off the bat. The first thing immediately is to call 911 and get some really professional help. Get the county involved. By legislation, counties are involved for searching for lost people outside of incorporated areas. And the sheriff and his deputies immediately mobilize to start searching for the child. The faster that phone call, the faster the best assets can be used. A small child, if you can get a dog team out there right away, as early as possible before other people are in the area, that air scent dog will start going in and look for anybody out there that it'll smell. It'll smell the scent coming off that person. But if you call a bunch of friends to come out and help you search first, and an hour, 2, 3 hours later you say, well, we can't find him, let's call the sheriff, you've badly contaminated the area.
How's that?
Well, you've walked over all the tracks. You've probably walked over all the possibility of scent tracking. It might still be possible with a ground scent dog, but still you've got all these people walking all around, and even small children leave prints. And if the weather's been anyway questionable, you will have good prints, and a good tracker could track that child if they're one of the first people out there. I mean, all of us that are into nature track small animals like foxes and things like that, and you know, you can do it. You can track a small child. But not if you've got a whole bunch of family members and friends wandering all over the area around the site looking for this person, and then you decide, well, we can't find them, let's get some more help, call 911. You've really contaminated an area in which would have been a lot faster to find that child with the right assets immediately.
Some members of the team were here earlier this year, and they've got we've talked about this a couple of times in the show now, the Hug a Tree Stay Alive program that's brand new this year, and a couple of folks from YCSRT were going to the public libraries and talking with small children about that. And you brought your whistle here, and I know that's one of the things they give. They've got a bright orange whistle they give the kids, a little orange poncho that they can use to cover up with or use to signal, and then a CD that's got instructions on one side and then just the flash on the other side so they can use it for signaling. So it's really, really clever, and I think it's got a little workbook and stuff in it too, but it's a really great idea. And they were in here, and the more we have these kind of searches happen, we've had a couple of child searches this summer that I can think of. It makes me wonder, I never taught my kids anything, and we camped all the time. I didn't talk about, okay, if you get lost, this is what you do. I never thought about that. And I've even talked to some other folks that I thought, yeah, we'd go camping, we let our kids roam off over there, and they'd be gone for a few hours playing or doing whatever.
And you're probably lucky.
Right, exactly. We're probably lucky because, it only takes a second for a child to just drop off the line where he could see where the camp is. 3 or 4 years old
and younger, they have no concept of terrain, no concept of where they are and spatial positioning and any of that. They just aimlessly wandering, and they don't really realize they're lost. And then children a little bit older, when they do realize they're lost, they still have no idea which way to go, where to go, but they start wandering. They don't stay put. That's why the Hug a Tree program is such a great program. If the kid will realize, I'm not sure where mom and dad is, and I don't know which way to go, I'm going to sit here till they come and get me, then they'll be found very quickly. It's the ones that keep wandering around, and as you know, some can wander for miles.
Right.
Yeah.
How hard is it to find something? I mean, it's one thing to try to find an adult out in the woods, but
good point.
But then you take somebody who is a third the size of an adult and put them out in. I tried to describe the Arizona wilderness to a friend of mine in the UK, and I don't think he can quite grasp his head around just how big the wilderness is here. But it is just massive. And there's always words like rugged terrain. Rugged terrain is always the words you hear mixed in with where the search area is being conducted. Is Arizona got non-rugged terrain outside of the city streets,
Unless you're in the flat desert.
Right.
That's probably the best description of it. And yes, children are small, and the younger the child, two things: the smaller they are and the more vulnerable they are. You have a person 18 or 20 years old lost out there. The weather and all of that's not going to bring them down as fast as it'll bring down a 6-year-old. And so, and kids will, when the weather's bad, they will crawl under things and hide and try to protect themselves. And they're very difficult to find. The younger the child, the more thorough the search has to be. The more thorough. I mean, you're looking under brush and under fallen trees and things like that. And you may be just a step or two apart from the next searcher on a grid, looking for somebody like that because they are so small. It's like looking for a small backpack or something, hiding under something. And of course, they're not all dressed in orange, or they're going to show up.
Right.
And a lot of times they're hiding because they're scared. Especially about 4 to about 6 or 8. They're the ones that hide more than anyone else.
They're scared.
They get very scared.
Let's take our first break. Al Cornell in studio today, volunteer with the Yavapai County Search and Rescue Team. YCSRT.org is the website. This is Countywide. We'll be back in just a couple minutes.
When I was 6, my days were spent playing basketball. When I was 6, my dream was to make it to the NBA. When I was 6, my mom had a stroke.
I'm Paul George, and I want you to spot a stroke fast.
F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911.
Protect the ones you love.
Spot a stroke fast.
I love taking care of my mom. It wasn't easy at first. She learned how to better communicate her needs.
And you learned how to not ignore yours.
I discovered how to make healthier meals.
And I discovered how much I enjoyed them.
Becoming a caregiver is a learning experience for everyone. Find articles, tips, and tools from experts and others who have been in your place. The Caregiving Resource Center at aarp.org/caregiving.
Here is my handle and here is my spout.
When I get all steamed up, then I shout.
Tip me over and pour me out. Oh.
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life.
Cheers.
Take time to be a dad today.
Welcome back to Countywide. Al Cornell in studio with us today. We're talking about just the kind of the differences between searching for children and adults. And children are I think, far more difficult to probably search for and to find, was what we're learning here. I was mentioning that we used to go camping all the time, and I don't remember ever telling my kids don't wander too far and stuff like that, because, you know, you're just always kind of scouring the area for them. I mean, you can, with my kids, you could always hear them. But some folks, we've got a sales guy here. When his kids were little, when he went camping, they all wore a whistle. Mm-hmm. And I had never heard that before until the Hug a Tree folks were here about, and then you've brought your whistle in sometimes too. So I thought that was pretty interesting about the whistle. So what are some of the things as parents that we should be doing with our kids, especially if we're big into hunting and camping and fishing and just being outdoors, to teach them?
Yeah, well, first thing is when you arrive at some point, the father or the parent should have a little briefing with them all. You know, we're here, we're going to camp here. You don't know this area at all, so if you're going to go exploring, let me know where you're going. Take a brother or sister with you, don't go by yourself. Let us go with you if we can. But that if you get lost out here, it can be a difficult experience. And so, you know, keep your wits about you. You have a lot of parents don't tend to tell kids that anymore. And secondly, empower the child or the young adult by giving them some gear. Give them a whistle, give them a poncho. I like the idea of the poncho or a garbage bag that you can just cut a hole in the top and so you can stick your head out. And those, just something to empower them that if they get into trouble, they have enough to keep them safe till we go get them.
You know, I think that would be a good
Parents
reminder
don't do
too.
that.
I think that would be a good reminder too. I mean, if I walked out in the forest like I am today, and I got lost, you said empowered, and then panic sets in, and we've talked about how panic is a killer. You pull up to the campsite and you hand your kids, okay, these are your survival packs in case you should get lost. Well, now, anytime they've got that with them, they're thinking to themselves, okay, I'm in the wilderness, I have this, because if I get lost.
Yeah, and so it raises their antenna to the idea that it could be a problem. You can get lost. Kids and parents are cavalier. They think they're in Disney World lots of times. I've had, and I mentioned this to you before, I've had people that have literally come to me and asked me when rangers were going to come out on the trails and walk them off the trails at night. They're so cavalier about it. And kids have got to have a sense of responsibility that this is a serious situation. You know, you're out there and be responsible and take care of each other and take care of yourself and you know, be alert. Be alert that kids have the same fears, by the way, that adults have when everything shuts down. Adults are afraid of being separated from the outside. In other words, they're off a trail and no cell phone or anything. That's their first fear. Second is darkness. Adults, their second fear in the woods is darkness. And third are animals. And so kids have those same fears. So they need to be, you need to have a nice talk with them when you get there, and so that they're not out there cavalier. The parents can't be cavalier. That's the problem.
How long does the search last for?
Good question. Hopefully it lasts for just a few hours when we find them.
Right.
And a lot of our searches, as you know, are cell phone calls, coordinates, go in there, and hopefully the coordinates are close to where this person is, and hopefully they have not moved. And that's the first thing the deputy incident commander will tell. Well, once they get a cell phone number and they call the missing or the lost person, the deputy will tell them, please don't move. We have an idea where you are. We're sending people to help you. Just relax. Don't move. And we still get people that move. It's just crazy. But
stay put's the number one thing.
Yeah.
Stay put.
Yeah, stay put. And if where you are is a little bit dangerous, tell the deputy that. You're going to move a quarter of a mile to the north or the west, or getting out of an area. Maybe you're in some huge pine trees and there's lightning coming. You want to go out in an open area a little bit further away or something.
Good point.
But a search can last for days, many days. Generally will last until all the logical reasons in the strategy have been covered, all the tactics of covering all these areas, and there's just no clues. There's nothing left. There's nothing to say, all right, we need to reorient over here or over there. They've searched everything, a lot of times twice. The probability of detection's gone up, and they're just not getting any answers. And so they never stop a search. They'll suspend it, but they never stop it. And I've been on searches where it was suspended, and 2 or 3 days later, a clue pops up, or somebody calls in and says they heard or saw something, and we're right back out there again. The search resumes. And so a search never is ended until that person is found. And I can tell you, I've been on searches where a previous search was conducted in that area and the person was not found. And the deputy, in briefing us for this current search, will say, and remember, we still have so-and-so out in this area that we did not find. Remember, he's on your list too. And they were always very good about reminding us, because that other search is never over.
So when you say, okay, when you say it's a suspended, so basically everyone's pulled out of the area, but if any searcher is in that area, it's up to you to keep it in your head that this person was not located. They could still be out here somewhere. That's what you're saying.
Well, and then the deputies are all aware of that too. And so when a search is suspended, it is suspended. It's not terminated. And so they're spring-loaded, the antenna real high, waiting for somebody to provide another clue. It could be a hiker that's out there and finds a backpack that's been abandoned, and he'll call it in. And the deputies will say, all right, let's bring a team back in and search this area where they found that backpack. And I've been on those where a backpack, in fact, specifically was a backpack. And we brought a team in and searched that whole area where that backpack was found. So, yes, they just pick right up and start over again.
Okay. All right. Let's take our second break. Al Cornell's in studio today with the Yavapai County Search and Rescue Team. Their website is ycsrt.org. This is Countywide. We'll be back in just a couple minutes.
If you don't fix them, sparks from dragging tow chains could cause a wildfire, and that could be scary.
Hi, Smokey.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Hart, what's going on?
I'm leaving.
Why? What did I do?
Not enough. You constantly ignore me. You barely eat anything healthy. You're half as active as you used to be. The pressure is just too much. I quit.
Okay, I get it. I'll do better. Just, please, don't leave.
Okay. But remember, if I go, you go.
Listen to your heart. Don't let it quit on you. Uncontrolled high blood pressure could lead to stroke, heart attack, or death. Get yours to a healthy range before it's too late.
Store your guns properly.
I'll feel safer when I'm playing outside.
Safer when walking home.
I won't have to tell so many family members. I'm sorry.
I won't hear as many scary stories.
And I won't have to tell my kids. This isn't a drill.
Please,
Please, do it for us.
Your family, friends, and neighbors are all counting on you. Never let your gun get into the wrong hands. Remember, always, lock it up. Visit ncpc.org.
Welcome back to Countywide. We've got just a few minutes left in the program with Al Cornell, volunteer with the Yavapai County Search and Rescue Team. A couple of things before, we're going to talk about the quality of search, but before we do, embarrassing. People think it's embarrassing that they've got lost, and so they will hold off on calling 911. That should be something that we throw out the window, right?
Yeah, as soon as
just
they,
call.
yes, because if they'll call us right away, especially if it's still daylight, we can get to them faster in the daylight and we'll react. I mean, our deputies are extremely well trained, and they just start getting us as teams out there as fast as possible. And we're much more efficient in the daylight, obviously. Mm-hmm. We can run the trails a lot faster, and so we just wish people, when they do get lost, don't wait. Call us.
Stop
moving.
Don't
feel there's nothing to be embarrassed about. People get lost all the time. I've been lost in the woods. Mm-hmm. And I was embarrassed until I found out other people were too, including some very fine survival instructors. And so it's nothing to be embarrassed about.
Okay, just stop moving and call.
Call,
okay.
Yes.
Also,
call 911.
There is no charge for search and rescues.
That's the other problem. People call their relatives. We had one lady, we called her, and she was a college professor, and she called a friend in Ohio. Hey, I'm out here lost, and I don't know what to do. And their friend said, hang up and call 911. And we found her within an hour. Mm-hmm. You know, just call 911.
And they're not going to send you a bill either. I wanted to make sure we talked about that, because I know that's one of the things people are like, oh man, the cost of this 10-day search for me is going to be just huge. So there is no charge for searches as well.
No, and we emphasize that when we do come up to the subjects. Mm-hmm. We tell them who we are, announce who we are. We're here to help you. We're here to lead you out or help you with that medically or whatever. And we stress right away. There's no charge, by the way, for us to be here to help you out of here. And you see that in their faces.
Right, I bet, huh?
The people from Ohio and Texas and all that, they hear that, and you can just see their faces go,
oh, okay.
Yes, it's really.
I'm so glad you came out and found me.
It's humorous to watch them sometimes.
Let's, real quick, we got 2 minutes left. The quality of the searchers in Yavapai County.
Yeah, that's an amazing thing. We have a cadre of deputies that are called forced patrol deputies. They patrol areas outside the, especially areas that are forested versus urban. And they're extremely well trained. They go through a very rigorous training program, not run by the county, run by agencies above the county that are national level specialists in this. And when they come on the scene, they can put together a strategy that's going to be efficient. And that strategy then develops into tactics for that environment and for that subject that are going to be very efficient versus somebody off the street saying, well, let's go help this person look for him. Mm-hmm. Knowing how to do that is extremely important. And of course, talking about children, you need to get to them fast because they're more vulnerable. They're more vulnerable to the elements.
Right.
And so that type of knowledge and background and ability to throw together a strategy is very, very important.
Okay. So
it's a science.
Take some time with your kids. Teach them when you're out in the forest what to do, what not to do when they're in the forest. Stay put. Once you realize, you look around, you think, oh gosh, I'm lost, I don't recognize anything. Stay put, call 911. There's no charge.
Call early.
Call early, right. You know, if you're lost 1 o'clock in the afternoon, call at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Don't wait till 6, because now it'll be likely the next morning before you're actually
so often we have someone that does that. They call early because they realize that they're going to get rescued faster and all, and they're very pleased we get there in a hurry.
Okay. Yeah. We're out of time today, but Al, you're going to come back maybe October, and we'll talk about winter safety, hiking and stuff.
Yeah.
Great
Sounds
to see
good.
you, as always. Again,
my
thank
pleasure.
you so much. YCSRT is that website again. I'm Paul David. This is Countywide. We'll talk to you again next time.